you feel reassured. You feel as though there's somebody there.
A place needed a police station, Norman. Hackney needs a police station. Hackney doesn't have a police station. The reality is our police stations that we do have look like Greg's, and they get set on fire just as easily. I saw one on Friday burning, and it looked like a little shop instead of a police station. And the police inside obviously couldn't defend it.
I'll be quite honest here, George. I've been in policing and law and order for 45 years. I'm absolutely ashamed of what policing has become. I'm probably one of their lead independent voices. I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the way it is. If they're crap, I'll tell you. If their leadership is crap, I'll tell you. But what I'll also tell you is there's men and women that get up every day that do their best in the most trying of circumstances, as I've just said. But you're right. The public don't see the police. We used to be on the streets. If you see us on the streets, you feel reassured. You feel as though there's somebody there for you to go and engage.
Norman Brendan's been on before, and now he's on again on Galloway. And to be honest, this particular programme's not too bad. I hadn't actually finished watching all of it. I got about 3/4 of the way through. But again, what Brendan has just said, he said he's been in policing for 35 years, which is not even a lifetime. 35 years is not even, if you live till you're 90, like an old bloke pushing a bike up an hill, like on some sort of Ridley Scott advert, 35 years is not a lifetime. And Brendan said, he's just said, people are used to seeing the police on the streets. He hasn't been alive for that long. The police are new. In this scheme of going by the law in which is still in force in this country, on which the country is founded on, which Parliament is operating on, which we're putting most things through Parliament to make the law, even the existence of a jury which people answer to, and now they only get one if it's in a Crown Court. Brendan is talking about a speck in time. And the police are using and operating law which is relatively brand new in the scheme of humans, in the scheme of courts. There's no point policing if you don't go into court, because then you don't get charged and then people don't get punishments, right? The police have only been here, Brendan, since properly the Metropolitan Police and the police force as we know it since 1839, Brendan. It's only now just gone to the year 2000 recently. It's two people, if you get two really old men, right? If you get two really old men who are in the 90s, right? Two men, it's not three men old, right? Brendan, the police force is not as old as three old men, right? It's two and a bit old men, Brendan, right? So there's only really been, Brendan, two full lives of persons, right? Two full 90-year-old lives and a bit of police in existence, Brendan. And you just said you've been in the force for 35 years, Brendan. There wasn't a police presence on the streets, Brendan, because they didn't have a police force as we know it. Now, Galloway's just mentioned Greg's Pasties. Rather than police stations looking like Greg's Pasties shops, Brendan, most police officers look like they've been eating and living on Greg's Pasties. Now, no one's saying that they don't do a job, a tough job, a hard job, or a valuable job that may or may not be needed, Brendan. But listen, the structure of enforcing the law, Brendan, the basis of charging someone with a crime and going before a court, Brendan, it's based on, right, us, the people. on the streets, the citizens on the streets, and having to go find your constable or sheriff, right? And they used to sometimes pay people to investigate. That was the job. Now, people had skills. The thing is, Brendan, right? Society, civilization, the citizens, Brendan, are the force, and the law gives every citizen the power to enforce the law. Now, as far as I'm concerned, when you go to school, you have to learn gym, PE, basketball, cross-country running, messing around with test tubes and Bunsen burners, right? Rather than having PC Allen come around and talk about people's eyeballs getting caught on car aerials on the BMX, right? Why aren't children taught policing? They used to have the Cub Scouts. They used to have, they've still got the Cub Scouts. They've got guides, scouts, brownies, all sorts, right, Brendan? Brendan, we don't need a few good men. When you get to depend on or rely on this specific people who are police presence on the street, why don't you have citizens on the streets, all citizens looking out for crime, all citizens looking out for each other, all citizens trained? If all citizens were not such a social disparity, not such a social divide in wealth, you would have less need for theft, you would have less jealousy, you would have less motivations for crime, right? The problem is, Brendan, that we've got these Tories, we've got those with and those without. And now, Brendan, you know that a hell of a lot of crime doesn't get solved. And like you said yourself, people just get a crime number, right? There's just been someone on Jimmy Dore on the American programme showing an English bit of footage where a policewoman comes around to arrest a guy putting social media posting. No police has ever been remotely interested in social media postings when I've rung up. In fact, I found out the Public Meeting Act's been violated quite a lot, which is quite serious. She put the phone down on me when I rung up. When I rung up the police, she put the phone down on me. I had to write back into professional standards, right? A lot of admins and moderators are breaking the Public Meeting Act, so you can't actually speak to people and lay evidence, even if you want to lawfully oppose councils or do something organised properly, or possibly even organised for policing, for community policing, The problem is that law enforcement and powers have ended up being restricted to special individuals, limited people, and everyone else has lost touch. That's how crime grows, and that's how crime gets out of control. Rather than, people getting unfit with Greg's pasties and you're not really interested in the neighbours and not interested in the community and only interested in video games, only interested in going to Greg's, only interested in going on holiday, only interested in game shows. Rather than come on down, the price is right, spin the wheel, play the national lottery, why not, community relations, enforcement of law, training, or watching out for criminals and so forth? Why do we even need cameras? They're so disengaged with the public being interested in crime, but now they're giving it to cameras who aren't even humans. They're invested in cameras, surveillance. They're even getting cameras to watch what you pick up, what you look at in a shop, and observe you and even plot and plan and predict what you're going to do and buy. So in one area, you've got absolute precision in observations of behaviour, even the recognition of your facial expressions. And then, yet, with this amazing technology which can even predict a person's behaviour in a shop and take notes on it and observe it to a microscopic level, right? But yet you've got all this unsolved crime out there, which they're blaming on lack of police, but yet the crimes that the police wanted to focus on, there's always been crafty criminals and there's always been cunning criminals. And they're out to catch. You need cunning people or you need very, very clever people, right? what the police did is, when the mill owners and all the rich people started making loads of money, they pulled all of the jury out of the civil courts, right? So all of the people who were making a hell of a lot of money and expanding their mills and getting more and more and more and more and more and bigger, they pulled the public out of the civil courts, so they weren't kept under control. Their wealth wasn't kept under control, which keeps the social order and wealth under control, right? Take the jury, the public, out of the civil courts, and then a lot of the civil things got put to the councillors, who all became party affiliated, right? Civil requests, which councillors decide, not public juries, right? And then all of the law enforcement gets only reserved for police, so the public lose their skills. You might as well, forget how to ride an horse, forget how to drive a car, forget how to handle a bow and arrow, or whatever it is. And then instead you get the public munching on sweets, going and staring at cinema films, watching the real action heroes, watching Arnold Schwarzenegger ride Harley Davidsons off river fills, doing all this wacky stuff, spinning shotguns around on an Harley Davidson, getting the real criminals who are running off with all the money, right? Because the public weren't there to keep them in order in the courts and stop them, going out of control, financial gaps in society, which Starmer claims he wants to bridge. But, and then you've got all your other political rights as well, which are understandable when the public have got a lot more active engagement in law enforcement. Then you can see how the public have got an active engagement in matters of church, state, or law when they're not happy with how the government's performing, or maybe even if they're not happy with some of these companies in what they're doing, when they usually would have been able to keep them under control through the civil courts. Norman, what happened? And you've just actually said yourself that when the senior police officers aren't doing their job properly, it's bad crap leadership. You've just said that yourself, right? The problem is, right, that what the police and the country, what the government decided to do with the police, right, is they decided that it was too difficult to catch clever criminals or very clever criminals, even though there were some very, very clever police. What they did is they thought that what we'll do is we'll get some fines in. We'll go for the easy catch. And they went after the people parking tickets. They went after all the people driving back and forward to work on the motorways, getting them speeding. And they put all the cameras everywhere for that. And then they changed the illegally, Norman, right, even though it's still in the law, it's still in the statute law and the Bill of Rights and what everything's founded and based on, not being repealed, right? And what Blair did, Blair thought, right, some of these criminals are too cunning and they're trying to, even when we catch them, it's hard to get them to confess. So what Blair's done is he's created a bargaining system. He's created a deal system. We'll do some deals, favours. We'll do favours. We'll negotiate with criminals to get them to confess and to give evidence and to plead guilty. And we'll coerce them into doing it by giving them offers and deals, which is... And Tony Blair created this new system of... sentencing guidelines, and he thought he was clever, and he thought he'd do it through the legislation. But the thing that stops deals for justice, negotiated justice, because remember, you don't negotiate justice. A crime is judged upon the evidence and law, or the conscience of the jury, if you get a jury. It's not negotiated and bargained with the criminal. You don't do deals for justice, right? You get the facts, you get the truth, and you get the statements, and you don't do deals with them. You don't negotiate to get that evidence, or you don't coerce them into it in respect to the person and their conscience, just like you don't do deals with juries. We don't negotiate with juries. We don't offer them rewards for justice. we get people in and they do it on their conscience based on the evidence and law, Norman, right? And what Tony Blair and the police did, and Queen Elizabeth, is the thought, right, we're not the really, really clever criminals, and a lot of these criminals, we need to get them. So we're going to do them some deals if they confess. We're going to bargain with them. Yet, that is against the judicial oath, Norman. And did Tony Blair think to change the judicial oath? No, he didn't. He didn't. He left it as it was because he hadn't a clue what he's doing, Norman. Tony Blair is a Lincoln's Inn graduate in employment law and not a very clever one. He ain't got a tiddlywinks clue what he's doing at the helm of the nation, at the steering control of the ship. You know, he really didn't have a clue what he was doing. And that's the problem when you get people like Tony Blair at the helm of the ship, Norman, because he broke the Constitution, and he did it again with a congestion charge in London as well, when it's meant to be you're not meant to have any tolls in the Liberty through London because it's the old A5 route. It's meant to be, and at the end of the day, another thing, when you pay road tax, you have paid a tax which gives you the legal right to use a road, all of the roads in England, unless it's privately owned and got a toll on it or some sort of bridge, right? Now, once you've paid your tax for the roads in England, right, you have a legal right to not only have the car on that road, but to use all of the roads. So where in the normal taxation, when you pay your road tax, does it say that you've paid your road tax for England, but you don't have the legal right to be on the road in London or move your car along the road in London? None. So you've actually paid tax to be in London with a car and have it on the road. So what's the congestion charge? Right? So, or you, Les, you're asking for tax or a toll or fee, whatever you want to call it, right? But you've already paid money for a legal right to be, not only be on that road, but also use it. And they haven't taken away your right to be on that road and use it in any other legislation. So what they're doing is they're taxing you for something that you've already paid tax for. It's a con tax. So you've already got the right to be on that road and you paid for it being maintained, but then they're asking you for more money. That's double jeopardy of law. Not only is it a double jeopardy of law, you're not allowed to have any tolls through London, and a toll is an obstruction. It's you shall not pass unless you pay money. And there are no barriers or bars around the congestion charge barring you from going into the area because you already paid road tax for those roads. And when you pay your road tax, you pay for the roads in London to be maintained, repaired and upheld. So, you know, it's a con. It's actually a con. And these are the people that the police are meant to be going after, these con artists, right? Instead, the police decide, oh yeah, we like these con artists. It's an easy catch, you know. We'll fry up some McDonald's, you know. We'll toss a couple of burgers. It's an easy fry up, you know. Chuck some chips in the fat fryer, you know. Get your McDonald's fries, you know. Stick them in the microwave, you know. It's like a KFC fry up. It's fast food law. And what the police did is, in order to get the figures up and get the fines in, they spread the fishing net across the road illegally, and they set up all the road signs illegal, and they started getting a lot of people speeding. Oh, aren't we doing well? We're getting hundreds of thousands of drivers, we're getting hundreds of thousands of fines, hundreds of thousands of parking tickets, but we're not actually getting really that many real, proper, cunning criminals. And this is the problem. A lot of serious crime wasn't being solved. And, you know, and then when you rely on the police to do that, the public lose a skill, lose an ability, lose a strength. When the whole 100 has to go after, when it's a legal requirement for the public to go after the criminals, and not this police reward lineup, and he done well, give him a badge or whatever. And this is the problem. And the other thing, Norman, is the police have a monopoly on crime. That means the police can choose what cases they go after, where they put the resources, who they'll prosecute. And then when they got the CPS in on the job, not just getting random prosecutors in separate, like the police employ prosecutors, when they've got the CPS in 1986, they've even got more of a two-tier monopoly on crime, Norman. That means that a military-run army, effectively, and lawyers, a team in organised lawyers who stick together as a unit. Now, when they do things wrong or do things criminal or illegal, who's going to solve it? Now, obviously, if a police officer nuts someone, and then you've got a bullying system within the police where they're the ones who do all the prosecuting, and then they're all possibly intimidating each other to stand with the unit, stand with the unit, stand with the unit, stand with the unit, stand with the CPS. And then you can't get anything done against the CPS, Norman. You can't get anything done against these police chiefs, let alone these police chiefs not running the police properly. They're gangsters, right? And now no one's got any money to take private action against them, Norman. No one, right? And we've got to the point now where you're complaining about riots, you're complaining about... There's all these foreigners just popped up who've been seeping through that Nigel Farage was complaining about on his boat, sailing around, pointing them out. And now, not only has crime gone through the roof, with all this technology, before we even got to the 2024, Norman, right, we're talking like... If this technology, in the 1980s, you had fax machines, you had cars, you had helicopters in the 1980s. I mean, look at Airwolf, Magnum PI. You've had the machines, you've had the gadgets, you've had the toys. You've never been short of the technology. So why didn't the crime get solved? And why didn't they solve the social gaps, which is creating crime? In the 1900s, when they did all the mills and the factories, crime went through the roof, and they knew that, and they were talking about it in Parliament, they were talking about it in Hansard, they were talking about the dramatic increase in crime, and they said, yeah, it's worth it. We're rich, we've got cigars, we've got cognac, I'm Lord Pumpernickel, I'm making a hell of a lot of money in the stock market, here's my cigar factory, I've been on holiday on safari, here's David Attenborough. We'll take the hit, we're having a jolly old time, we're running the country, we've got aircraft carriers, fighter planes, this and that. David Cameron, we like it. We like this stuff. Rishi Sunak, it's my new radio-controlled coffee machine that's the exact temperature. I like it. But crime's gone through the roof because of it, because of the resentment, because of the social disparity, because of the divide. Well, they didn't care. They said, we'll take the hit. We'll just, get some... We've got an organised police force now. We'll, do them, put them in prison. We'll make some more laws to keep them in order. Rather than saying, maybe we're taking too much. Maybe we should share as things more and everyone's more happy. No, they took the hit in the crime. It went through the roof, Norman. And then now it's more of the same. More social divide, more financial divide, more people coming in who don't even believe in our... way of life, and now we've got people in Parliament who don't even believe in the rights which are there to protect ourselves and to challenge the government who caused the problems in the first place, like Priti Patel, who is the last person that you want in Parliament. I won't put her in charge of a creche. She doesn't believe in what is being built on for forever. And the thing that actually has caused the worst problems is her and her pals and Liz Truss with their fancy cocktail parties while everyone's suffering, and they're feeding them McDonald's, throwing chips at them. That's the problem, Norman. if the police went after the real criminals, right, then, but instead the rank and file, military style regime does handshakes with them. Here, there's some more speed cameras, have a medal. The problem with the police force, Norman, is they like getting a reward. They like getting their lineup. Have your boots polished? You know, didn't you do well? He's a hero. You know, he saved a terrorist on London Bridge. Stephen Gallant or whatever. You know, perfectly timed when a terrorist goes across London Bridge. You know, when he's on his leave from prison. What a coincidence. You know, there's a lot of celebrating, a lot of parties, a lot of awards and a lot of rewards. But real crime hasn't been solved because they've been rewarded for getting 500 million parking tickets or getting loads of speeders or whatever it is. You know, this is the problem. And the police are a political party now. They've got a monopoly on crime. They are the monopoly on criminal law, on the CPS. Prior to only the 1830s, Norman, which is only not even two and a half persons ago, right, Norman? 2.5 full lifetimes ago, which isn't long at all with your 35 years in the force, Norman, right? There wasn't a monopoly on crime like you've got in the police. We all played our part in enforcing the law and responsibility. Now, when everybody has responsibility, get the word response-ability, the ability to respond. Now, Norman, I mean, people are on Facebook going, me. Someone put a message or said this I don't like, even though I've got block buttons or whatever. They're sending the police round. When I ring up the police, someone said to someone on Facebook, they put the phone down on me, Norman, right? Who are these police officers who are going around on these 3,500 social media crimes last year? What about the 100,000 people who hung up on Norman, right? If I won't mind, but this is not. They're not even in your house. They're not even in the village. They're not even in the city. They might be in Skegness. They might be in Johnny Groats. They might be in Northern Ireland. Oh, it's a picture or an image. It's an insult to the people who caught Guy Fawkes. It's an insult to, people who, have literally probably fought for their life against criminals. Now, the average citizen is only able to respond to a drive-through, to a McMenu, to a touch and screen pad in a McDonald's, Norman. And I've seen the police there queuing up around the drive-through to get their share of the burgers as well. They've got tasers, they've got handcuffs. It's a shambles. There's no responsibility. And now, never mind criminals who are going around in gangs on the streets. I don't even get on with... I live at Norman. I'm in what you call a nice neighbourhood. It's borderline countryside. It's wealthy people supposedly, although there's a mixture really, I suppose. But do you want to know who my enemy is here? I don't have gangs aren't my enemy, right? Like in the city, my neighbours are, Norman. My own neighbours, they can't stop. They're doing stuff now. You can't live in a nice neighbourhood because, you got, this is a nice neighbourhood. What's nice about it? Well, I like those, wooden stiles that we go over. I like the footpath through the woods. I like my neighbours. I like the guy across the road. Well, the guy across the road moves, a new guy comes who's obsessed with security and paranoid, puts cameras everywhere. It affects everyone else. Two guys behind with beautiful houses. A woman's husband dies. The other one, he sells up, but they sell up and they demolish the nice houses and then ram in as many houses as they can into the land where there were two nice houses. And then another guy, just before he pops his clogs, gives us a pair of rods and a beautiful field that he had. He fills that ram filled with houses. That doesn't even fit the area, doesn't even improve the area. It actually diminishes it. The farmer's going around taking everything down and putting metal barriers and stuff everywhere, which isn't even nice to walk through. Everyone else can't stop. You've got something nice. They're just building again and again and again. It's like they can't stop. But who's feeding them that? Because the TV switch it on. Oh no, buy a new shed, now buy a bigger 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 shed. Rip all that things out your garden. All your stuff's crap. The TV's like going, your stuff's crap. Sell it all. Get some new stuff. Your stuff's crap. Your stuff's crap. You need to buy more stuff. Go on holiday. Do this, do that. Norman, if we don't stop this TV, right, there's people in this country who have got so much money. They've got the nice house. They've got nice furniture. They go on holidays, Norman. Now, those people don't need any more money. You stop. You have to turn the tap off. And when you fill your cup up, Norman, you go, whoa, that's enough, right? What's happening is you've got a cup and they're just pouring it in. And it's flooding out everywhere, the water, Norman. They're pouring it in. And all right, cup's full. Say when. And it's like, it's pouring in. More. Over and over and over again. And those people have got far too much money now, right? And then Jeremy Corbyn is going up the bloody wall, complaining that everyone's poor. All Islington, they can't eat. They've got no money, and so forth. And then he's going on about, foreign relations, which is, the truth is the police have said that she's responsible for a lot of crime. And if you look at the court listings, they all look foreign names to me, right? But, and Starmer doesn't want to pour money into the working class poor people. He wants to get people out of that class and create a brand new one in all the rest of the country, which was nice, but it won't be nice when he's finished with it. And he wants to then demolish the poor. He doesn't want to make the poor wealthy, so then they don't have mould, they're not cold, they're not starving, they can do up the front of the house, make their garden nice, then make the street look nice, and then put flowers down the street, and then, a fairy lights or whatever, make it beautiful. Starmer don't want to do that. He just says, that's crap, let's demolish it. And and they're lucky if they don't die with some strange disease, and we'll start again with the new Keir Starmer, new build. Starmer wants to build in a new. Starmer wants to give birth to a new generation and build it currently where it is all fields and countryside, or even in nice areas, and he just wants to basically call history a write-off. It's a write-off. We fucked up. We made a mess, but it made a hell of a lot of people rich. And now fuck them, they can all die. That's effectively what Starmer's doing. He doesn't want to breathe life into it. He doesn't want to make cold houses warm. He doesn't want to make mouldy houses not mouldy. He doesn't want to get all the money from, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk and Bill Gates and say, that's our money, you stole it, give us it back. And this is why Mark Zuckerberg worships Trump, and now they're hanging on all these, tweets. Oh, what did Elon Musk tweet? What did Elon Musk tweet? Who gives a fuck what Elon Musk tweeted? Now, people are more interested in what, it's how famous they are. Mark Zuckerberg has just said that the most badass thing that he's ever seen in his life is Donald Trump apparently get shot but survive and then lift his fist up. That is the most naffest thing I've ever seen. And if you watch the DC Shorts channel, there's a lot more badass things happening on that DC Shorts channel, what they share, than what happened to Trump. It's like a fame meter. These people are extremely famous, right? And the more famous they are, it seems to be the more that people like geeks like Zuckerberg worship them. Oh, it's Donald Trump. He's very, very famous. So, you know, if he drops a fucking peanut on the floor, whoa, that was the most badass thing that I've ever seen. Donald Trump dropped a fucking peanut and tweeted, hello, you know. No, it's not. It's crap. But yet, you know, these people, they're hanging on every word that they say. Those people are thieves. And then, you know, geeks like Zuckerberg, who, you know, now they've got all the kids worshipping these YouTube stars, you know. Oh, you know, they've got the new Prime drink in the shop, or the latest YouTube star brought out a new chocolate bar or a new drink. And all the kids want to be a famous YouTube star. The problem with Zuckerberg, that he's got all the kids now wanting to be like them, you know, scamming people on crap drinks, crap food, junk stuff, getting famous on products, sellouts, basically, you know. It's terrible. Except Mr. Beast, who apparently, you know, is giving Ferraris away and getting everyone, you know, last one out of the ring or whatever. But it's all wrong. The whole thing, you know. We've been fleeced. We've been robbed by, you know, these oligarchs, these elitists, you know, and they think they know best what's good for everyone else when they clearly don't know what's good for us on the, you know, on the food menu, that's for sure. And they've created all the resentment, all the disparity and the rest of it. And then now we've ended up with every man themselves, because now it's not just, we're all against each other now, because people who are wealthy, right? I mean, either, you know, people now are like, you know, I couldn't give a fuck what my neighbour thinks. I'll do what the fuck I want, right? And then, you know, I don't trust anyone. I'll get cameras up everywhere. We don't have nice neighbourhoods now. We're not going to have nice neighbourhoods. We're not going to have nice areas. What's going to be nice is having like a security gate and a lock on your street so no one can come up the street unless they live on it, right? You know, and you know, you're literally, your house might as well be like a fortress, you know, a metaverse, because, you know, you'll do what the fuck you want in your own land and to your own house, and everyone else can fuck off, because, you know, and then what happens is when, you know, everyone on the street fucking ruined, you know, the place, so I'll fuck them, so then you scribble on the front of your house, you're all cunts, fuck off. You know, I bet this don't fucking look nice now, does it? And the police come around and say, oh, you're writing nasty messages. Well, I don't like it. Well, I know he doesn't like it. I don't like what he's done to the fucking thing. He's got cameras up everywhere. It looks like Alcatraz. I don't like that. He doesn't say he don't like it. Well, no, it is. It is. There's no to say, I don't like this. IDONTLIKETHIS. What does that mean? I don't like it. Well, here's something. How about this? You know, he's a raw pumpernickel. Oh, I don't like that. Well, that's amazing. You don't like it, and you didn't even have to write it out in words. You just don't like it. Same thing. You know, this says you don't like it. That, you just don't like it. It's the same thing. So why does it matter whether you write it out in words or letters, I don't like it, than the thing itself that you don't like? Oh, you know, there's the actual thing. I don't like it. You know, it speaks. It is that. It is, I don't like. It is the dislike. It itself is the object of dislike. He doesn't have to say, he doesn't have to have a tag on it saying, it's like on 10 and 6, isn't it, on Mad Hatter? Like, you know, what's the price on this? It's like going into a shop, you know, and seeing a sweater, I don't like that, and then look at the tag, oh, you don't like this? Huh, I could have told you that, you know, look at this sweater that I don't like, it says on the tag, you don't like this, you know, so, you know, same, snap, this is the thing. what's going to happen is everyone is going to end up writing, at the end of the garden, fuck off, you're a cunt, right? Which is basically what's happened to inner cities, basically, which is why you've got all this crime. And now half of Parliament's going on holiday because they don't want to sort out the mess that they've made. And they think that taking our rights away and freedom of speech is going to be the solution to it, when the real problem is that we got fleeced. And the police didn't go after the real criminals who fleeced us. The police actually got a monopoly on crime, and they just said, oh, now we're all thick and stupid. We're all easy catchers because we're not actually good enough to catch the real sharp criminals, so we'll just fuck everyone else instead, give them all speeding tickets. And that's the problem, Norman, because no one's got any responsibility. Ability. If you've got responsibility and legislation in place, Norman, you don't need a police because you are the police, Norman. And that's the problem now. Where's the police? I need the police. Because you've got no responsibility. If you've got children who are brought up right and properly in school, educated, Norman, we should all be like Terminators, Norman. We should all be like, but without having to be a robot or turn us into a robot, Norman. We should all be competent, capable individuals, Norman, but we're not. And that's the problem. And you seem to think that we need to rely on these police. Oh, get a specialist, get an expert, get someone who knows what they're doing, get someone who's not, fed on McDonald's and waiting up in the fucking drive-thru to get through McDonald's, like half the police vans, Norman. Norman, right? You're 35 years in the police force, hasn't scratched the surface of what the law and the courts actually are, which is the local community meeting together with facts and evidence and deciding if someone has done something wrong or not. And all your job, Norman, is the police, is to get the evidence and facts. Now, if we can get the evidence and facts, and if we can't, there must be something wrong with us, right? Because everyone's got a freaking mobile phone and a video camera now. We'll give it to, I've got the video, I've got the evidence, so well, you better give it to a specialist, the police officer. Oh, we've got to go find some evidence. Oh, well, don't worry, I've done the job for you, officer. Here's the video. Here you go. There's the evidence. Now I'll let the specialist deal with it. In fact, he's a criminal as well. I've just collared him, I'll hand the criminal in with the video. There you go. Just hand him straight over to the CPS, there's put my feet up on the desk, he's done all my work for me. This is the problem, Norman. Okay, there are some nasty things to deal with out there, there are some murderers and things like that, but generally, now, what you're effectively saying now is that you don't trust England, you don't trust citizens, you don't trust the community. We're all criminals. We're all criminals. Half the population are illegal immigrants or foreigners, and they're responsible for all the crime. And the really, really clever criminals are too clever. And, the police get most of the business out of doped-up idiots who are just driving down the road for a couple of miles an hour too fast at an easy cam. And now you're going to get more easy cams in the shops, It's despicable. It's so despicable. I'm not ashamed of the police, Norman. I'm ashamed of mankind. I'm ashamed of mankind. I wouldn't mind if I were living in a terrace house, with a screaming cat next door and, someone beating the kids up, and an air raid siren going off and, or in Liverpool or something with someone beating the wife up next door or whatever. But I live somewhere that people in a city would be astounded at and call me spoiled or whatever. But you can't have anything nice in a nice place because they're all sold out on pure greed, excess and more. Coming out of the TV, Norman, coming out of the shops, coming out of the stores, coming out of the supermarkets, more, Norman. And this is the problem with the Tories. And Starmer is on the more bandwagon because Starmer wants more technology, which it didn't solve crime. More and more technology, Norman, has never solved crime. Never. More and more technology has never solved crime, right? If it was going to solve crime, it'd have solved crime in the 80s, it would have solved crime in the 90s.